Hi, my name is Tomoa, and welcome to African Market Explain, a podcast that unlocks African markets using knowledge from experts. On this episode, we'll be talking about travel tech in Kenya, and our special guest who will be sharing some insights is Wyclife Omondi, the co-founder of BuuPass, a seasoned entrepreneur and financial expert with over 6 years experience in the transport industry. He's also a Dream VC fellow and a former World Bank consultant. I'll let our guest take over the introduction from here and tell us about his experience in the African tech space. Up to you, Wyclife.
Yeah, thanks, Tomoa. My name is Wyclife Omondi, co-founder of BuuPass. BuuPass develops ticketing technology for intercity transport. We started with bus, but now we've added train and flights. We are the official provider of ticketing, rail ticketing in Kenya. We are live in 4 countries, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Rwanda. We have sold more than 10 million tickets so far. We reached break-even. We raised our recent pre-seed, and we are still at it.
Congrats, man. It's actually very good, listen to your traction. It seems like, wow, to even before your pre-seed round, you've expanded into 4 different countries. That's actually very good to listen to. Jumping into today's discussion, I would just like to, from your experience, demystify the potential of travel tech markets in Kenya. Now, how big it is and who are the major players? Why should we think about travel tech?
Yeah, travel tech is big and it's wide. If you look at the funding raised, mobility, which is travel tech, was the sector behind fintech, and travel tech and expand to logistics. So for us, within the travel tech, we are in the intercity, which in Kenya, about 300,000 people use intercity travel every day. In sub-Saharan Africa is a $45 billion market, just intercity alone. And also on top of that, there's parcel. So there's no equivalent of DHL or Wells Fargo that goes to every village here. So most people use their bus operators as a way. So when you add that, it can go up to $100 billion market. So for us, the major players in the intercity, we were the pioneers. So, but new entrants have come in. So we have one called Voltic, and then we have also European-based companies like FlexBus, Bookaway, Busbird, that are even looking at African markets. But the way they are looking at is acquisition. So we've gotten some acquisition interest. The market is still very young. We have about 5% of the market share. So it means even when there are 5-10 competitors more, we still have a long way to go. That's the big overview of the travel tech.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Going back to what you talked about, you just closed your round earlier this year, and it's a big thing, for African startup, especially the kind of climate we have right now. And like I said, talking about the vertical, like unlike fintech, which has gotten quite a lot of attention, travel tech, like you said, you are pioneers. Not many founders actually find it very, very, to go in, because it's kind of like an uphill battle when it comes to funding, because you have to explain. I've seen analysts associate that, the unconventional solution of the sector has made it a difficult fit for the emerging markets. What's your opinion on of this take, and what do you think are the trends and technologies that are popping up in the market that has opened the market for disruption itself?
So I think open for disruption, I think it's just e-commerce has played a factor because most people now travel, send parcel via bus operators, etc. But also there's pressure on demand and there's pressure on how to share and convenience. So you see a lot of people preferring convenience rather than the traditional methods. So that's why, aggregating demand, choosing buses that go near routes, co-sharing a taxi or co-sharing a van instead of traveling. So if you've known Swivel IPO'd recently, and it was in travel tech. And within 5 years, it had IPO'd. If you look at other players like Move Africa, they recently raised almost $40 million, and then they got another debt of about $40 million again. So it shows there is increasing demand and there's acceleration. And also, I think one thing that also makes it more lucrative is the returns. In travel tech, the margins are quite high, and also the demand is quite high. So you find a startup scales very fast. As opposed to fintech is good, but sometimes the margins are very small because they are competitor. You have a lot of price wars. So that's the difference you see in travel tech. And then lastly, travel tech, you can blend with other services. So that is a factor that has accelerated, because now if you are doing transport, for instance, you can give APIs to insurance. So someone can insure them. You can give sell other products like hotel, connection to Uber. So when I arrive, I can get to my Uber, etc. There are so many ways you can bundle travel tech, and that makes it more high margin business.
All right, thank you. Just to add a bit tiny question to that, you talked about the price wars, and you talked about like new entrants into the market. Has there been any kind of pricing war in that sense, that you're competing with new players that are coming into the market, or it's not the reality right now?
Now we are starting to see a bit of it. Always new players, whenever they come, they want to start a price war as a way to get customers. But what we realize with the time, they give up, because you cannot race to the bottom is never the best. In travel, what's important is quality than the cheap. So you can afford the cheap product, but if it's not always available, timing out, server timing out, the product not available, there's double booking, the vehicle or the van not showing up on time, then despite the price, you are not able to attract customers. So as much as we look at the competitors in terms of price, we also look at how we being innovative in terms of providing more value to the customer. Are we having more inventory? We are the only platform that has 3 modes of transport: bus, train, and flights in one platform. So that provides more value than the cheaper product.
All right, thank you for that. To Pat, what would be your like final comment in terms of people thinking about travel tech in Kenya, or like Africa in general, and in terms of being an investor or an entrepreneur that wants to break into the space? What do you think something that they should keep in mind?
Yeah, I think the one thing they should keep in mind is this is the right time to enter the market. As you've seen from the data, from any investment database, you see travel tech gaining more traction and getting more income. And the returns are good. So that's one thing. And then the other thing I would say is also, Africa is going to be the youngest and the most populous by 2050. So with the population comes demand for convenience, etc. And also, if you look at between countries, there is removal of trade barriers. So with the African continental trade, East Africa community, IGAD, and now it becomes increasingly easy to move from one African country to another, or to send goods from one African country to another. And that poses good opportunity for travel tech in Africa. So this is the right time to look at it.
All right, thank you very much for your time. It was very, very interesting talking to you, and thanks for your insights. For our listeners, anyone that wants to check out Wyclife can follow him on LinkedIn on Wyclife Omondi, and see what new thing BuuPass is doing. And then don't forget to click the subscribe button and to receive more unique content on Africa. Thank you. Thank you.
Wyclife.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.